We have Mark Winchell with us, and you are what, the executive director, the only director, or whatever, of the Ashtabula County Tourism Bureau?
That's pretty good.
So
yeah.
I am just going to go like this, and no, I mean with spring coming up, well, spring not coming up, spring is here, and summer is a few weeks away. There's an awful lot of stuff going on in Ashtabula County.
Absolutely.
And we have Pairings is going to open next month in downtown Geneva.
Yep.
So we thought maybe you could update us on some of this stuff.
Sure. Well, you mentioned,
what I was just going to mention is that I was there in January, and it has taken it's much different.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. It's we'll talk a little about everything. Pairings is a great project. It is billed as Ohio's wine and culinary experience. The entire campus is about 38,000 square feet. The first phase is completed now. It's about 3,800 square feet. So this first phase is called Windows on Pairings, and it'll showcase about 40% of the overall product that you'll see in the big center. So in the big center, we have a hands-on kitchen that will seat 50 people. Well, in Windows on Pairings, the same hands-on kitchen will seat 12 people. We'll do wine sommelier certification for 75 people at a time in the big center. We can do it for about 22 people at a time in the smaller center. So really, Windows on Pairings was an opportunity for us to move this product into market, get some consumer excitement, so generating some revenue, and really get that brand of Pairings out there in front of consumers. So we will be open. Our grand opening is June 21st. It's the summer solstice, longest day of the year. Ohio Wine Month makes a lot of sense.
Good day for that.
Yeah, absolutely. So that will be our grand opening.
What day is that?
It will be a Saturday.
Okay.
It falls on a weekend. I mean, all the stars align for that one.
That's right.
So it's and really that'll be the grand opening. But our soft opening will probably be a couple of weeks before that, as soon as we get everything in place and ready to go. So right now the landscaping is done, the building is complete. Our kitchen equipment has been ordered, and that will be coming in the next couple of days. We've hired an executive director. Her name is Catherine Sturley. Wonderful woman. She comes to us from Hale Farm and Village, background in fine arts. She's got a master's degree in nonprofit management. Really razor sharp. So we're very excited to have her on board and to really lead this organization.
Okay, tell us a little bit more about what Pairings is. When you're talking Pairings, is pairing food to wine, pretty much, right?
Absolutely.
So could the average person go in there, and what is going on?
The average experience, you'll have a lot of different things you can do. The first is there'll be classes. So we'll have cooking classes. If you want to come in and you want to do a basic, 30-minute how to make chocolate for Valentine's Day, well, that'll be an option. We'll also do things like, we have a farmer's market on property, so there'll be a chef's dinner menu where you'll come in and you'll actually go out into the farmer's market, pick the vegetables and meat some things you want. You come back into the kitchen. It'll be a hands-on experience. So you work with the chef, knife skills, learning the proper temperatures for meats and vegetables, how to cook. So it'll be really an educational component when it comes to that culinary arts. And classes will range from $25 to $100, and everything from, like I said, 30 minutes all the way up to 3 hours, depending on what class you're looking for. So you can go online. It's pairingsohio.com. We're actually relaunching the website. So what you'll see now is the initial phases of that. But as we relaunch this new website, all the classes will be on there. You'll be able to sign up for classes. The other phase of this, or the other side of this building that currently exists, there'll be a wine tasting area. And what's unique about this is that you go into a typical winery and you're going to get their wine. The opportunity with Pairings is we are showcasing the best Ohio has to offer. So our food will follow the Ohio Proud guidelines. 51% of our products will be sourced from Ohio. The same with the wine. 100% of the wine served there will be from Ohio. But what makes it unique and interesting is we will have 6 different wine trails, and we'll pick wines from each one of those trails. So around the state of Ohio, there's 6 wine trails: northeast, northwest, southeast, southwest, central, and like central north. So all 6 of those wine trails will be represented. So the best wines that Northeast Ohio has to offer will be at the center. The best wines Southeast Ohio has to offer will be at the center. So it'll offer consumers that are coming into the state an opportunity to taste a lot of different wines from a lot of different regions. And you can taste a Cabernet Franc from the Ohio River Valley region, and a Cabernet Franc from the Grand River Valley region, and tell the nuances and differences. We can talk about terroir. A big part of this, again, is education. Educating consumers on why Ohio wines taste a certain way and why our varieties are different from those they might find other places.
This is because of weather and
absolutely. If you look at a Cabernet Franc, it's a great example. Cabernet Franc, the ones that we produce here, are a cool climate. You take Cabernet Franc from California and it's a much more rich, intense, because it's an arid climate. So really for us, we're trying to get those last couple of days in fall to make sure we can round out the flavors of the Cabernet Franc. Where in California, they're literally providing a little bit of water every day because it's so arid, and they're getting 300 days of a growing season. We're getting about 180, 185 here. So again, same grape, same variety, but a different climate, a different style, different soil structures. So all of those things go into making the fruit and the wine uniquely different in each region.
Well, this is good too for somebody who's all they've heard about is Ashtabula County is known for its wine, and they don't know anything about it. And they don't want to go someplace, oh, I don't know anything about it. I'm from Ashtabula County, I should. So this is a good opportunity for them, and for people coming through on I-90. Absolutely. You're what, 25, 30 miles from the state line. So
yeah, it's really very close.
You're going to have signage out there?
We will. We'll do signage out there as well. Part of the unique thing, you mentioned this educational component. You know, if you want a Budweiser, you can get a Budweiser in Milwaukee, you can get it in Cleveland, you can get it in LA, you can get it in Miami.
You can get it in Cognac.
You can get it in Cognac. You can get a Budweiser anywhere. There's no intimidation. You walk into an establishment, you ask for a Budweiser, they serve it to you. It's glass or bottle. I mean, that's pretty much it. You know, but really when it comes to wine, if I'm intimidated when I order, if I can't pronounce a Pinot Gris and I say Peanut Gris, or Merlot instead of Merlot, you know, we need to break down these barriers. We need to get people comfortable with wine, because if we're in the business of selling wine, we need to be in the business of educating consumers. Why is it important they're drinking the wine? What are they tasting? When somebody says, oh, it has overtones of peach or of apricot, what does that mean? When they say it has tannins or a lot of tannic acid, if they say there's a hint of shoe leather, the last time I chewed on a shoe, it wasn't good. So, you know, what do those terms mean? How do we break down the barriers and make wine approachable so consumers want to buy more of it?
Okay. Also, you're going to be, this is going to be a campus thing, right?
Correct, yeah.
So what's there is, it was a former school building.
Correct. On the property, parents...
It's kind of, if you don't know, it's near downtown, it's kind of set back. You go there, you look around, where is this place? Oh, there it is.
Absolutely, yeah.
But it's got room to grow. There's going to be other buildings. It's going to become a campus style thing.
As you head into Geneva, as you're headed from the 90 corridor and you go north, there's actually the War Memorial there, the Revolutionary War Memorial right in the corner. You make a left-hand turn on Park Street and it really is right there. But as you mentioned, there are 3.1 acres of property, and this Windows on Parents facility sits way in the back. So really, all of that grass area you see in the front is all for future development. So as we build this campus, we'll encompass all of that grassy area, and basically there'll be a business incubator and winery incubator. There'll be a larger scale culinary classes. There'll be a culinary amphitheater. There'll be dining, a full-scale restaurant. There'll be a banquet facility. So there'll be shared office space for like industries. So as we build this campus, it really will mirror the downtown with red brick and sandstone as we build out that footprint. But for right now, we chose to get this building way in the back. It actually is an old 1800s barn that we've renovated. So
right. The school was torn down, right?
Correct. Yeah, the school was demolished in about 2009 or 10. The Ohio School Facility Commission obviously is Conneaut, Ashtabula, Geneva. Everybody got new schools. The money was there from the state to remove the old schools. So that was one of the properties that was raised. Parents secured that property and used that old pastoral barn that's still there, as well as a school board office. At some point in time, we maintain control of that as well, so we'll reutilize that as well. Yeah,
it's kind of a neat building. We have a video on our website, and you demonstrate like the doors and moving back and forth, and I mean it's be interesting to see. And I talked to one of the genesis for all of this was that I was talking to Jennifer Brown, the assistant city manager in Geneva, and Jim Pearson, the city manager, and they were finding that a lot of the downtown Geneva had its problems in the wintertime. You had a lot of tourists in the summer, but in the wintertime, some businesses went under because there just wasn't enough activity downtown. And this is a way to bring some businesses to...
It truly is. We look at our downtown, look at downtown Conneaut, look at downtown Geneva, look at downtown Ashtabula City. I mean, we really, during the summer, downtown Andover, I mean, we really have a tremendous potential in the summertime, really late spring through early fall. There's a lot of tourists in town. But how do we anchor those downtown merchants? How do we make sure they stay solvent throughout the rest of the year? It's really important, and really pairings was this asset-based economic development. What do you currently have in your community? What sells well, and how can you make it better? In Conneaut, we always, I use the phrase, but it's the truth. Conneaut truly is a microcosm of everything we sell in the whole county. You've got wineries, you've got covered bridges, you've got beachfront access, you've got parks. I mean, you truly have, you've got scenic rivers, you've got steelhead fishing. Everything that we sell for Ashtabula County, Conneaut has. So really, you've got a lot of opportunities to move those tourists through your community in a year-round basis.
What what is the impact of like having the rest center in Conneaut like open part-time or nobody manning it or anything? Does that cause any problems?
You know, it's a tough one. The thing with the state of Ohio is there's no turnstiles. When you walk through the gates of Ohio, we don't count people, so it makes it very difficult. We know that there's about 37,000 people a day traveling down the 90 corridor, and I'm sure there's some sort of a multiplier percentage effect. We can figure out how many are going to that rest center. It is a challenge. I mean, whether it's you know, financially or just that human capital, it's a challenge that we need to keep those things staffed. But really, then it comes down to ODOT and the Division of Tourism, how they're going to work that piece out. So for us, we're trying our best because we have a small visitor center to keep that open. I know in Conneaut, I think it's your Board of Tourism and Chamber of Commerce have stepped up to help keep that staffed. I believe we have a young woman that's working out there again this summer. So it is important to have that face. At some point in time, we may be in a digital age where we interact with computers and interfaces all the time, but we still like a hug and a handshake. We're still a very...
people, and that somebody that used to work out there, somebody comes in and says, my car's not, with the Chevy car, my car's not working well. Well, how long before I can get to Cleveland and get to an auto dealership? And they say, you know, there's one just down the road here in Conneaut. And you're missing that kind of thing.
And that's a big part of the problem is the employees that were there before were trained by ODOT. I mean, really, they were extremely knowledgeable. Somebody said, listen, I'm going to Cedar Point, how far is it? I'm going to the Hocking Hills, how far is it? You know, we're going down to Cincinnati. Or it was that question, hey, listen, I've got a tie rod that went in my car. Oh, well, hey, Greg Sweet's up the road. I mean, that you can't replace that local connectivity. And really, that's probably the biggest loss for us, is that personal connection. So really, once ODOT decided to move from those centers as keeping them staffed, there's a challenge there. We've got to figure a way to fill that void because really, you know, when it comes to tourism, when it comes to vacationers, they like talking to folks. They like getting personal recommendations, local recommendations. You know, you want a winery, hey, there's 4 in town. You want a restaurant, hey, we got a couple up by the harbor. I mean, really, they move people through the community. It was really vital to our success.
And just, I don't know, the digital age, but it doesn't seem like
you lose
we're a little distance from having robots that can come up and say,
no doubt,
Greg Sweet is down the road. Have a nice day.
Everyone loves their smartphone, but we still want to talk to people.
Right. Somebody besides Siri.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
So we were just talking about pairings in Geneva, and wine is a big thing around here, and it was a devastating winter for wineries.
We talked a little about it, and I would never pretend to be as we have Greg Johns at the Research Center. We've got wine folks here in Conneaut. We've got some great folks that are much they're on a different pay scale than I am, and they know much more about these. But really, from the basic standpoint,
I was going to ask you for a loan too.
Yeah, well, sorry. Yeah, so basically, as we look at the wine industry this year, we're looking at a 100% loss of the vinifera crop. So the vinifers are our Chardonnay, our Pinot Gris, Pinot Noir, all of our Rieslings, Gewürztraminer.
Oh, not Rieslings.
Yeah, I know. God, I love Rieslings.
I do
so
too.
we're looking at 100% loss because of the buds.
Yeah.
We're looking the larger challenge is the vine damage. So basically, what happened was we had an event where we got up to about 55, 56 degrees. And then it dropped down to negative 26 for about 4 days in a row. So what happened was the vines were thinking, oh, it's kind of springish. They started to suck that moisture out of the ground and bring it up into the stem. And as we got that cold, continual temperature, there's vine crackage, there's damage. So our biggest challenge now is the damage to the vines. Because the damage to the fruit is a 1-year episode, which is horrible. It's horrible when you lose them. But when there's damage to the vines, that's where you get into really significant challenges, because we're looking at a wine industry, Conneaut, Harpersfield, I mean, across the board, everybody is saying, well, listen, at $17,000 an acre to replant viniferas, and we're looking at 3 to 5 years before we're seeing a returnable crop. You know, there's a massive capital investment. I mean, at 10 acres, you're 170 grand.
Nothing coming back.
Nothing coming back. Yeah, so really, it's a long-term investment. So we look at our wine industry has kind of reached that. You know, we've been moving along, and you kind of stick a stick in the dirt, and we've kind of parted now. We've created this challenge now through Mother Nature that we're going to have to make some really hard decisions. Are they going to replant those? You know, are they going to move into other areas? And it's a challenge. So our largest concern, obviously, is for the viniferas. We have some hybrids that have they've fared a little better. Those are like Cabernet Franc, or I'm sorry, Chambourcin, Vidal have fared a little bit better. And our Lambruscas, the Concord, Catawba, have done obviously significantly better because they are native species. But our biggest challenge is in the viniferas, those really credible wine grapes that we really are going to try to figure out over the next couple of years what's going to happen. You'll see them cutting them off at the ground and trying to train some suckers and shoots to come up. But again, that's your short-term fix. So we're really at a turning point or a crossroads in the wine industry here in Northeast Ohio because of this polar vortex, winter phenomena, whatever you like to call it. But it truly was a once-in-a-lifetime storm, a once-in-a-lifetime winter event.
I was going to say this is something nobody has seen before. all the elements will come together for something really, really bad to happen.
Yeah, and it wasn't just the cold, it wasn't just the snow, it wasn't just the longevity, it was all of it. And it was the fact that it was the day before, the couple of days before, we had that little bit of a warm-up. So had it been cold and stayed cold, we would still have damage, but not to the extent of the root damage. And that really, we would have lost the buds no matter what because it was so cold. I mean, at negative 10, 15, 20 degrees, no matter what it was, it just really sustained a lot of damage. But really the biggest concern now is the root damage.
You know, there was a news story the other day said that Arnie Esther was talking about, he's 82 years old. Mm-hmm. His grape crop is pretty much wiped out, and he doesn't like buy grapes from someplace else. Absolutely. So he may...
well, that's really a large concern. You look at Arnie has the oldest vinifera crop in the state. I think 1968 is when he planted. So you take those vines out of rotation, and what it creates is a challenge from multiple perspectives. One is, will that business... what will it look like? If he's not going to buy grapes, what's going to happen? And for our wineries that are saying, listen, these are Grand River Valley grapes, or these are Lake Erie grapes, those bottles and labels are going to have to change because the feds regulate how those bottles, so it'll be an American blend. So what happens is they'll have to go to Washington State, or they'll have to go to Oregon, and they'll go up there and they'll purchase Rieslings. Mm-hmm. So you're purchasing that fruit, you're purchasing that juice and bringing it in on tankers. Well, if the scales of economy, is it cheaper to do that than to replant, and then do we lose this industry altogether? We really are at a true crossroads, so it's very important we figure out how are we going to maintain in the future. Are we going to replant those crops? Who is going to take over those vines? Because that really will be long-term one of the greatest challenges we will face as a wine industry.
So all of the wine makers and growers and all, they're going to look at 2014 as really, it's a starting point or a watershed year.
Absolutely, and you look at some will replant. Hopefully, most will replant. Some will not. Some will change varieties, but really, those things that we do well, like our Rieslings, our Chardonnays, Gewürztraminers, the whole Pinot family, we do those very well, and really, we'd love to see a reinvestment in that. But there's a realistic aspect that this is agriculture. Everyone believes that, it's a winery, it's sexy and marketing and fun, and we're sitting around drinking. But it is truly agriculture. This is a farming community that really has a very unique crop that they need to maintain. So it's
you go out there, you get your hands dirty.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And I was talking to Kim Lorello, and she says that they did have a surplus the year before, and that's going to help them some.
Yeah, we had a bumper crop. 2013 was a phenomenal year. So 2013,
that's going to help.
It will. So the tanks are full. They'll be moving that into bottles. The biggest challenge was the 2014 vintage will be labeled American blend rather than Grand River Valley or Lake Erie region, because we'll be buying fruit from other places to maintain that.
Okay, so let's get off wine a little bit, and as we say, summer is almost here. There's all kinds of stuff going on.
Absolutely.
So can you address that? I bet you can address that.
I bet I can, yeah. So off of, for as hard as that wine conversation is, and now into something a little more fun. And really, summer is here. We talk all the time, and we say that, our primary focus are moms and minivans, Memorial Day to Labor Day. We really do. We have a great family consumer that travels up here. You guys are right along the lake in Conneaut, and you recognize, watch the boat trailers coming up and launching at Public Dock. Watching the folks come up and spending time at Township Park Beach. I mean, really, summer's around the corner. Those couple of days last week or early this week when it got up to 70, 80, 90 degrees.
90 degrees.
Oh, yeah, and everybody's kind of excited, and we're kind of coming out of the cocoons. A little bit of a cool down here, but really the tourism.
See your neighbors for the first time since October. So.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, really there's an opportunity for folks to get outside and experience the things we have to offer here. And really summer makes those things happen. So for us, we're excited about it. The tourism trade is starting to pick up. We're seeing people move outdoors for lunch rather than being indoors, and all those things are starting to happen. So really the kickoff to spring is here, and we're looking forward to a good summer tourism season. So people are traveling, the economy is starting to straighten around a little bit. I mean, nobody's doing as well as they were in maybe the late 90s, but realistically the economy is much better now than it was 2 or 3 years ago, and really things are starting to pick up for us.
And there isn't, you can actually see an impact.
Absolutely.
Like last year, this year, compared to 2008, or when the economy actually tanked.
The tourism industry in Ashtabula County is very robust. It now supports full FTE jobs, which is full-time equivalency jobs. 1 in every 7 salaried jobs in Ashtabula County supported by tourism. Tourism generates about just under $50 million a year in taxes. That's federal, state, and local. It supports, like I said, the 1 in 7 jobs, and about $83 million in payroll every year just in Ashtabula County. So it's about a $380 million industry. So it is vital to our economic success. Will it ever replace the docks? Will it ever replace the railroads? No, but it's a wonderful industry that is here. And what it does as well is, as residents, we enjoy those elements as quality of life. If we want to go to the beach, We can do it in 3 minutes. If
Right.
somebody's in Columbus and they want to go to the beach, they can go to Alum Creek, which is a large mud puddle that everyone sits around, or they can come to Conneaut, or they can come to Geneva on the Lake. They can spend time along the water. So for us, it's about that retention and attraction. We're looking to recruit a doctor to come here to your UH hospital in Conneaut. Well, there's wonderful quality of life elements. We have great schools, we've got beautiful beaches, we've got steelhead fishing, we've got all of these amenities. So what we sell as tourism experiences, as residents, we can enjoy as quality of life. So those are really important for our business community to recognize that, yeah, tourism has an important role to play. And again, not just moms and minivans, but attracting those executives, attracting those doctors, bringing them into town and saying, listen, we have a lot to offer. Come live in our community, come work in our community.
That also, so what do you do differently now than you would do in February as far because of the summer? I mean,
Well, we wear shorts, first of all. First thing we do is we put on shorts because
that's good, yeah. The tank tops.
Yeah. You know, really February for us, we are, as an organization, the Convention and Visitors Bureau, we're funded through a countywide lodging tax. So if you stay the night in a hotel and say the room is $100, when you check out in the morning, you're going to pay $111.50. $6.50 in sales tax and $5 in a countywide lodging tax. So 3 of those lodging tax dollars come to our office, and that's what funds us. So really our focus is to put heads in beds. We are driving the local economy through tourism traffic. So really we never slow down. This time of year, the folks are already coming, but the reason they're coming is because we spent the last 8 months marketing to them. We spent the last 8 months planning this. So we do a lot of marketing in our feeder markets. Youngstown, Pittsburgh, Mahoning Valley, really that whole Boardman, Canfield, Warren area, southwest suburbs of Cleveland, Columbus. Those are really our drive markets and our big predominant markets. So we've spent the last 8 months just hammering them with marketing materials, saying, hey, don't forget when you're planning your summer vacation, make sure you're here. So really our office never slows down. We get very busy actually in the off season. We produce a countywide visitors guide.
Right.
Yeah, these publications, they have the county maps and things in them. So, you know, really we never slow down. Yeah, we never slow down. We just change focus. So right now we're servicing all the guests we spent the last 8 months trying to bring here.
So what kind of staff do you have as far as?
Well, I have the 3 greatest people on the planet that work in our office. So I will tell you that
this is in lieu of a pay raise.
Yeah, no, not that. But no, it's I'm the director, and I have 3 incredible staff. We have Christy works or lives here locally. We've got Jacqueline that lives in the Austinburg area, and Melissa that lives just across the county line into Madison. But the 3 of them truly run the office. Everything from visitor inquiries to putting together marketing plans. My focus is more strategic development, but basically they run the day-to-day operations. They make sure all the requests are fulfilled. This visitor's guide specifically, we send out between 250 and 350 a day. So first-class mail. So these are all folks that have called in and said, hey, we saw your marketing, we saw your billboard, we saw your ad campaign, send us more information. So there's a lot of that behind-the-scenes work, and the ladies are absolutely amazing. So I have a great team there to support this and move this initiative forward.
There's really a kind of a diversity too. As far as Ashtabula County goes, I joined a biking group, and we picked different areas of the county. And let me tell you something, you can see a lot more, and you will notice a lot more on a bicycle than you ever will on a car. And places that you heard about that they just kind of was a blur as you went by in a car, you're going to notice on the bicycle. And there is a diverse area. I mean, I can remember we spent it was supposed to be a 2-hour, kind of like Gilligan's Island, a 2-hour bike ride. And we got down to Andover. We started in Pierpont. We got down to Andover. And it's like, well, let's go over the causeway. And I tell you, riding a bicycle over that causeway, it really is an unforgettable experience. And what I thought was kind of cool is you're driving across the causeway and you can get off to fish. And I said to somebody as we're going across, because you can get off and park for free. And I said, you know, if this was New York, well, this was someplace else, there would be a $10 fee, Niagara Falls, it'd be a $10 fee to park your car there to fish.
And $12 to take a picture.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's just, I mean, this is a tourist area, but it's not, I came back from New York City, which is really something. But boy, everybody is out.
When you mention the diversity, I mean, if we look at our county, you know, we've always joked about it, and people go back and forth, but there's this North County, South County divide.
Right.
You know, and whether it's as far north as I-90 or as far south as Route 6 or 322. But really, if you had the opportunity to travel around, I mean, the top third of the county above 90 is predominantly residential, it's predominantly industrial, it's a lot of tourism trade. As you get below that, it's amazingly, or just wonderfully agricultural. If you've not had the opportunity, you're right, drive down Route 7 from Conroe, go across 322, come back up 534, and then down 531 all the way. Our county's massive. We are 2/3 the size of Rhode Island. So really there's wonderful opportunities, whether it's on a motorcycle, a bike, a car, just getting out and experiencing our community. You can go down to Andover, the little cranberry station that's down there, a little restaurant. You know, you're here in Conneaut, you got the White Turkey. You're over in Jeevan Lake, you got Eddie's Grill. I mean, all these little local hotspots, they're great places to go. So really, as tourists, again, they're out there. If you've never been a tourist in your own backyard, I would encourage you to load the family in the car, throw 20 bucks in your pocket, and see what kind of things you can experience. There's a tremendous amount. We have 19 museums and historical sites in the county. So really, there's a lot of things that are happening on a very regular basis.
Yeah, and like I say, it's not like they're all out for your money.
Absolutely.
And,
yeah, 20 bucks. I mean, really, take your family on 20 bucks. You can do some cool things in the county. Literally, you take 20 bucks to New York State, and you can't even get off the toll road without spending that. I mean, it costs you 19 bucks in tolls just to get to New York City. So really, it's a very affordable travel destination. And I think that's part of the reason people have spent 2 and 3 and 4 generations coming to Ashtabula County. You can take $1,000 and go to Myrtle Beach for 4 days, or you can take $1,000 and come to Ashtabula County for 2 weeks. I mean, really, there's a lot of opportunity. We're a very affordable and value-driven destination, so a lot of people are utilizing that in their travel plans.
We have a phone call, so let's go to that. Hello, you're on the air.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
I can't hear the show.
You can't hear the show?
No. I live in Geneva. I get a lot of interference. Then later in the day, it clears up and comes in pretty good.
Oh, so you're on the radio, correct?
Correct.
If you have a computer, you can go to 1360wwow.com.
Okay.
And there's a little click here to listen. Yeah, it might be, I don't know, the AM waves change throughout the day. But if you try that, maybe you'll pick it up a little better.
Could you have the show like at 7 o'clock at night?
That would be beyond my dealings, but I could say something, okay? Did you have a question or anything? Comment about tourism?
What are you talking about?
We're talking about tourism. We got Mark Winchell here.
Tourism.
Yeah.
Oh. No, I come from the old school where you don't try to attract people. People come when they want to come.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right.
Bye. Well, that call made my day. Well, what about the old school? I mean, there was a day, a time that everybody at the docks, everybody grew up and worked for the railroad, and you didn't need tourism?
Well, you know, I tell you what, tourism, believe it or not, has always been here. People have always traveled. I mean, if you go back to Native American times, they went to areas that were cooler in the summer than in the winter, or the hunting grounds, whatever you like to call them. But really, we've traveled forever. I would look at our modern tourism industry and look back to right around the Industrial Revolution. If you look at Youngstown and Pittsburgh and that whole Mahoning Valley area, it is geographically in a depression. It's down in a low area. So as the Industrial Revolution started to heat up, we're making metal, we're smelting metal, we're making steel. It's hot, and all that heat and smog is sitting down in that valley, and it's very, very hot. It's smoggy. It's, you know, it was a challenge. So really, in 1869 is where they officially said Geneva on the Lake is a tourism destination, or Conneaut is where we go. But people have always come here, and the reason is because of the cool lake breezes. Then we're talking pre-air conditioning. When it's 90 degrees in the Mahoning Valley, and you're cranking out steel, it is hot, and it is dirty. So people from Youngstown and Pittsburgh have always traveled to the lake. They were the cool lake breezes. Look at the names of some of our side streets, McKeesport, you know, and they talk about these Pittsburgh and Youngstown references. 11 obviously expedited that because they come up much faster, but folks have always traveled to Geneva on the Lake, they've always traveled to Conneaut, they've always come up to Saybrook, and whether you call it tourism or whether you call it vacationing, whatever you called it, a lot of folks have done that. And really that was, again, 3 or 4 generations ago. So now we have those grandkids and great-grandkids, and, you know, Billy met Susie when they were 6 and they came up here, and they ended up getting married when they were 32, and then they bring their kids back, and you're seeing this big cyclical change, and folks love to come up here, whether it's nostalgia, whether it's tourism, but really the modern trend of this traveling for recreation purposes is not that old, but people traveling for comfort has always been there. So tourism is always been in our DNA, whether we like it or not.
Did you like the strip in Geneva on the Lake? That is really kind of a throwback to places that people used to go to.
The 1950s came to visit and never left.
Yeah, I mean, and so, and like you say, somebody went there with their parents when they were kids, and now they come back.
Yep, absolutely. And people like nostalgic vacations. They really do. I mean, we had this conversation the other day. I have a board of directors. So we had the conversation during the meeting, the big band era and the dance halls. And, people have that nostalgia. They like to go back and see it. So how do we interface that history and that educational component with tourism? Because, again, when Grandpa comes back and brings his grandson, hey, this is where I first danced with your grandma. There was a big band here. And those are the kind of things we're looking at generational travel being very important. So having a physical representation on the landscape of what it used to look like or the experiences they could have had. You look across Lake Erie, Conneaut, Lakeshore Park, Geneva on the Lake, all had some sort of amenities, whether it was boarding houses or lodging houses or water slides into the lake or boat launches or the piers that went out with the old wooden boats. All of those things were part of our history, part of our heritage. Whether they call it tourism or not, it was recreation. People vacationed here. It was just an important part of the work process. When you work 51 weeks a year and you get 1 week of vacation, you want to enjoy that time. So really the modern trend of tourism has been always to move folks towards the lake.
I mean, that used to be, people would pack up their families and take them to the lake, and maybe the father would stay in town to go to work or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. Touring the USA in our Chevrolet. I mean, we had that whole campaign, really in the 50s that Chevy pushed very heavily, get people, we're putting in all these highways and freeways, concrete was everywhere, we had an opportunity to travel, and folks really, they loaded the kids up in the car, they got a cooler, and they headed out with bologna sandwiches and soda pops, and I mean, really this modern trend of tourism it's exciting, it's the adventure, it's the road. So folks have really gravitated towards that, and again, we're 3 or 4 generations deep into that trend.
And people go and it's like, boy, I want to go back there. So the next year I enjoyed that, and I enjoyed this. We didn't get to this part. We're going to have to come back, we went to New York City, and we just underestimated how long things were going to take. So, like 3 days isn't good.
Absolutely. Yeah, and it really is. And, people are coming back. We only got to see, we came here to see wineries. So we stopped in Conneaut. We saw 2 or 3 here. We saw 1 over there. Oh my gosh, we still missed another 7 or 8. We're going to come back again. So, lots of opportunity.
Right. And the covered bridges.
Absolutely.
I'm an unofficial tourist representative because I live on South Ridge Road.
Fantastic.
And I go running down the road and somebody stops and says, I told this to Arnie once, I says, you should put me on the payroll. I did get to the Marco, and they will ask me where the covered bridges are. Well, there's one to your left down here, turn around, there's one, you go to this way, there's one to the left, go across Route 7, there's another one, you go down Route 7, there's one.
Absolutely,
and,
absolutely. So the community has a huge role to play in that, and really you get asked questions all the time. As a resident, I mean, I'm sure everyone can relate to a story when you were sitting at a meal, or you were at a gas station, or you're walking down the street, and someone pulled over and asked for directions. I joke about it all the time. I live on a dirt road in Austerburg, and I get people that stop by, they've got our covered bridge driving tour map, and they're saying, hey, do you know where this bridge is? I kind of chuckle to myself, and tell them where they need to go, but it's the truth. People are moving around our community, and they're spending dollars. So that $381 million they're infusing, they made that money in someone else's economy, and they're bringing it here to spend in ours. So our businesses really benefit a lot from that, and it's important.
It's maybe a little advice for people is when they do meet these tourists is to be a little upbeat. Sometimes people are like, there are people that can pluck defeat from the jaws of victory, and they're naysayers all the time, and so I think we need to talk up the community, the county.
It is. It's important, and I use this example all the time, but if you think of the city of Orlando is right next door to Disney World.
Sure.
Well, the residents of Orlando, 7 out of 10 residents, 70% of them have never been to Disney World. Where you take someone from Ohio and they go to Florida, if I made it that close, I'm going to Disney. Everyone wants to be there. But as a resident, they don't value that, oh my gosh, it's tourists, oh, it's Disney. Well, as residents, we drive across those wooden bridges all the time and don't think a thing about them.
Right.
Tourists, people are traveling from all around the country to see our covered bridges. They're excited to be here. We think of, if we're going to go to the beach, if you don't live in a Lake Erie community, tell me where you go to the beach. I mean, if you live in Youngstown, or you live in Columbus, or you live in Stark County, I mean, you have public pools. You may have, maybe somebody has a pond, but we have wonderful sandy ocean-like beaches without the salt water, which is even better. So
Yeah.
it's truly a great place to be. And as residents, sometimes we struggle to see all of those benefits because we see them every day. But I promise you, when tourists come into town, they have that little twinkle in their eye. They've got a pocket full of money, and they're ready to do something. They're excited to be here.
So keep them enthused.
Absolutely.
Where can people get that?
These county
Besides
visitors,
over there, we have a bunch of them.
yeah, they stop into this office now. We try to put them all around town. If you are a business or you know a business that needs some, let us know. But we have an 800 number, 1-800-3-DROP-IN, or it's visit ashtabulacounty.com. You can log on there, request visitors guides, or if you have a business, you'd like some. Like I said, we mail out between 250 and 350 a day. So if you have a relative that lives in Wapakoneta and you want to get them one, give our office a call. Again, it's at 1-800-3-DROP-IN or visit ashtabulacounty.com. You can call us and we'll send them out. We love to put them around throughout the community. So you'll find them in the businesses that you frequent around the community. And if you don't see them in the business, let us know. We'll be happy to bring some out. They are free of charge. We put 100,000 of them every year. They have great maps in there for all the covered bridges and wineries. So it's a great publication to utilize.
I was looking through it for some story ideas. So.
Fantastic. All right, great.
All right, Mark. Well, thank you very much for making the trek to Conneaut early in the morning.
Truly my pleasure. We're actually going now to a quilt barn meeting. So there's a group of folks putting together a series of quilt barns from around the county. So tourism is always happening. So you'll see, maybe sometime we'll come back and talk more about the quilt barn. So really cool project you'll see all throughout our community in the next probably 6 to 8 months.
All right, very good.